This is the Relevant Podcast.
It's episode 1164, and it's the Relevant Podcast. Here in Orlando, I'm your host, Cameron Strang, and joining me from Loverland, Virginia, is Jesse Carey.
Hello, hello.
From Nashville, it's our managing editor downtown, Emily Brown.
Hey, y'all.
And that's it. We are recording on an unusual day because Emily has been sick all week, and she is better now, and so we figured we'd jump in, but Derek and Marty will not be here today. They will be on next episode. So,
Emily, are you feeling better?
Yes, I feel like a human again. I was not feeling like a human for a few days there. So
she got the bird flu. Don't.
There's
my worst nightmare.
I mean, it seems to be going around. Every time I'm online, doom scrolling, there's some other flu that we need to be concerned about.
Now we need to be concerned about worms eating our brains like RFK.
I didn't even know it was a thing. I had no idea.
There's so many things. Yeah, it was. I think there's a new COVID strand too called like Flirt, which I just think is funny. So it kind of was like I did to take a COVID test.
Does it give you Riz? Like,
well, I don't have it, so I mean,
I need to get that ASAP. I need to catch it.
I do. Listen, the three of us know better than anyone, like what kind of headlines move the needle, right? And fear fear and like gossip are two of the things that you draw people into clicking more than anything else. But so there's always headlines about the next, microplastics or super processed foods or whatever. And I know we've had this conversation in a variety of ways before. I've stopped worrying about any of that. I'm told that, like, I've known too many people, and I know it's anecdotal. I know I'm going against the science here. I've just known too many people, because we're like in the Huberman era right now of like, you guys know Dr. Andrew Huberman, like Huberman Lab. Emily, are you aware of Dr. Andrew Huberman?
The name sounds so familiar. I feel like I should know this.
So he has one of the top podcasts in the world. You would probably recognize him because he's one of those people, if you're like scrolling long enough on Shorts or Reels or TikTok or whatever, you'll come across one of his clips. He's got a big beard. He's a Stanford neuroscientist. And he's really into like health hacks, okay. And he always has in like, this sleep doctor or this nutritionist who is,
I just looked him up. He looks like one of your military guys, like Huberman Lab. He's like super jacked. He looks like an action hero with a big beard. Yeah,
he is. But he's a Stanford neuroscientist. But he's a big deal in like the podcast world. But he's really into like the ice plunges and these sleep hacks. Or intermittent fasting, or these weird little diets. And you hear all this stuff, like life extension stuff, how you got to sleep like 9 hours a night and no blue light and all. I don't believe any of it anymore. Because the people that I've known that have lived longest in my life have some of the, or are still kicking, that are getting up there and have had almost no health problems. Have the worst lifestyles I've know of anyone. It seems like everyone who puts too much time caring about their lifestyle and health, it always seems like that's where it goes wrong. I think there's something about just not caring, that is the way to stay healthy. So I don't click on the bird flu stories. I don't, worry about, the microplastics or anything. I'm just going what I see in the world. I can listen to I'm just living, man. I feel you could spend all your time worrying about the next big thing. Are you guys? I mean, do you guys follow this at all? This logic?
I get it. I mean, you're talking about a very hippie lifestyle, and I feel like hippies live for a very long time. So, it tracks with me. I mean, I feel like I have plenty of family members who have made some very questionable life decisions, and it's like they're turning 89 this year, and it's like, how have you lived this long? It's like shocking.
I was using one of those sleep rings, like the Aura sleep rings that measure your sleep, It gave me anxiety because like, I'm going to have to look at my sleep score in the morning and I don't want to know how poorly I slept tonight. I found that when not wearing the ring, I wasn't thinking about it and I got a better night's sleep. And I think there's something to that when you're overthinking the health stuff. I think it backfires.
I'm looking at multiple pictures of him and he's not a doctor, a medical doctor. He's a PhD in neuroscience. And it's like, he looked a lot more natural and healthy 10 years ago. Now he's my age. He's a few months older than me.
Yeah.
He looks so much older than me, but he looks like an action hero. I mean, like, granted, like, he's doing a lot to like build his body and stuff, but it looks like it's aging him more. You know what I mean? Like all these like life hacks, like things, it's stressing his body. He looks like he's aging aggressively compared to this photo from just a few years ago. I'm just like, that's the other part of it. It's like people who are doing all this stuff to chase youth in middle age, women with Botox, whatever, it's making them look older. Like it doesn't make you look younger or feel younger. It just puts more stress on your body, honestly. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think the people who have these, like, I eat Cheetos and I watch The Price is Right and I never get out of my recliner and then they live till they're freaking 95 years old, it's because they don't have any stress. They're just chilling. This guy's doing ice plunges and like his body's like shocked and it's like he's going to die at 68. I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying.
That's what I'm saying. That's my whole point.
Yeah.
Like, I think you just kind of have to, it's like the whole like dude approach to life, like Big Lebowski. I don't know when last time you guys have watched Big Lebowski. You know what I mean? We just live in the moment.
Just chilling, man.
If just chilling, you got the bathrobe on. Sometimes you have an afternoon White Russian, as the dude does. You bowl, and your life really revolves around the next community league bowling tournament. There's some. Those are the guys. That's the. I don't need. Huberman and his buddies telling me, the perfect temperature of my bed and how long I should be in the ice bath for to reduce inflammation. I need the old, burned out hippies who seem to be doing just great. They seem to have basically the same approach to life they did as like a 60-year-old as they did when they were like 19. That's who's cracked the code.
I'm telling you, I'm not advocating for obesity or anything like that. I'm not advocating for disregarding health, normal, healthy lifestyle things. But when I watch like the Mark Wahlberg thing of like, or the CEO thing gets into my TikTok a lot, like the most accomplished people get up at 3 a.m. and they've done more by 6 than you've done in your whole day. And like, I'm going, that doesn't sound fun. I don't want that day. I don't want that lifestyle. I'd like to sleep.
Have you all seen that guy who's like, he's like reverse aging himself? Like he's doing all
and he's
these
like taking
things.
his son's blood and stuff.
He looks terrifying.
And he's my age. He's my age. And he's like literally looks so much older and scarier than me. Like, it's just like, this isn't doing what you think it's doing, for on the men's side. And on the women's side, the hot dog lips are not making you look youthful. I'm sorry. Like, can we all just stop? Let's just like relax. Let's just eat our Cheetos and watch The Price is Right and have a good life. That's
the kind of health podcast I want, is someone who it's, I don't need the latest sleep scientist in here. I don't need, the nutritionist. I want someone that's like, what I binged that really chilled me out was this new Alien show, man. This, like,
have you seen the new Survivor? It's great. Like their whole day is built around the new Survivor tonight at 8, like that's their big plans for the day. All right.
They got a big box of Cheez-Its. They're living large.
Anyway. Yeah. All right. Well, speaking of living large and stress-free, we have a great show in store for you today. Coming up later, we talk to Jon Foreman. That man has cracked the code. He surfs every morning, writes songs while he's out on the water. It's a great conversation. He has a new album coming up, new solo project. He has a new single that released today. We talked to him about all of that. At the end of the show, we have your feedback, the terrible dating profiles. You do not want to miss that. But stay tuned. Up next, it's Relevant Buzz. You're listening to Washed Out. The song is The Hardest Part. Today's podcast is brought to you in part by Mercy Ships. Globally, 5 billion people lack access to surgical care. In sub-Saharan Africa, there's only one surgeon for every 200,000 people. Mercy Ships provides free, life-transforming surgeries for people who have little to no access to medical care. They help the blind see, straighten twisted limbs, remove deadly tumors, treat cleft conditions, and so much more. With state-of-the-art hospital ships, they provide safe surgery to children and adults living with treatable conditions, and it's completely free of charge. They do all this work with an all-volunteer crew of professionals who donate their time and talents. Surgeons, stewards, nurses, engineers, and more make the world a better place. Your donation today provides free, safe surgeries to people in desperate need of help. All gifts are matched, so please donate today at mercyships.org/relevant.
Today's podcast is brought to you in part by Tim Tebow's book, Look Again. Have you ever wondered what would change if you truly believed you were infinitely valuable to God? In his New York Times bestselling book, Look Again, Tim Tebow reveals the powerful truth that when we learn to see the image of God in every person, including those we struggle to love, everything changes. Tebow shares incredible stories from his work with people the world often overlooks, and it will challenge you to stand up to the lies, rediscover the worth that everyone has, and impact the world for good. Find Look Again by Tim Tebow, available now wherever books are sold.
Okay, it's time for
Relevant Buzz.
Tell us what's happening at the intersection of faith and culture this week, Emily.
Okay, first thing, they are making a horror movie about Jesus' childhood. I don't know if y'all have heard about this. There's a film that is pulling inspiration from the story of the apocryphal Gospel of Thomas, and that focuses on the stories of Jesus' youth.
Wait, explain for us non-seminary grads. So the Bible tells us the story of his birth, his early years, they hid in Egypt, and then we hear about him at 12 with the synagogue thing, right?
Yeah.
And then we hear about at 29, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But the Apocrypha is part of the Catholic canon, but not the Protestant canon.
Got it.
Correct?
Yes.
And so the book of Thomas, which I've not read, is part of that. And it tells stories of his boyhood that the Gospels. Okay. Got it. Okay.
Yeah. So it's stories of his life from ages 5 to 12.
Got it.
There's some interesting stories in there. There's some supernatural stuff, which makes sense why this movie called The Carpenter's Son is going to look at this childhood through a horror lens. So there's going to be some spooky elements to it. But I'll read you the film synopsis so you get a little bit of a better idea. The Carpenter's Son tells the dark story of a family hiding out in Roman Egypt. The son, known only as the boy, is driven to doubt by another mysterious child and rebels against his guardian, the carpenter, revealing inherent powers and a fate beyond his comprehension. As he exercises his own power, the boy and his family become the target of horrors, natural and divine.
Okay.
So,
I mean, I could see that being...
Yeah.
I mean, it happened to him in... Look, here, having not read the Gospel of Thomas, but... This happened to him in his adulthood.
Yeah, the wilderness. He's out there talking to Satan.
Literally confronted by Satan in the wilderness. We know that his childhood was probably filled with all sorts of horrors and trauma because his birth led to a decree that all kids of a certain age had to be murdered. So his family was on the run to try to avoid him literally being murdered. They were, so he had a target on his back from Herod, who was essentially over the entire part of the empire. It's not that, to me, implausible scenario that it was probably a pretty scary childhood.
Is it like a legit? It's a legit movie, right? It's got A-listers
it's a legit
stuff.
movie. Yeah, let's actually talk about the cast list real quick. So, young Jesus will be played by Noah Jupe, who was in A Quiet Place. Mary, she's known as the mother, but we know her as Mary, will be played by F.K. Twigs. And Joseph, a.k.a. the Carpenter, will be played by none other than Nicolas Cage.
Good.
I wondered what your take would be. I didn't expect good. Okay, here's the thing that we posted this on Instagram. This is the thing that I can't wrap my head around, Jesse. Aside from just the fact that Nicolas Cage, when he's in a movie, is Nicolas Cage, right? I mean, to me, it's going to be tough to suspend reality to believe that this is Joseph, the father of Jesus. Number two, we know from historical and cultural accounts that back in that era, women got married young. Mary was probably around 14. Most leaders would agree. Okay. Let's say generously, Joseph was 20 when she was 14, right? So you're saying that this is about his boyhood when he's between 5 and 12 is the Gospel of Thomas. So Jesus would be, let's say, 8 years old. So that would put Mary at 22 years old. Nicolas Cage is 60 years old.
I'm gonna ignore all of that for a moment.
I'm going, hi,
That's a big
this
thing
is
to
Jesus'
ignore.
grandfather, not father. I'm sorry. Okay.
Again, I'm choosing to just ignore the problematic age difference and just say the reason I'm hopeful about this film. Nicolas Cage, late era Nicolas Cage has had pretty good taste. Like, okay, Dream Scenario, which is an A24 movie. I don't know if you guys saw that. Fantastic movie.
Wait, is that the one where he played Nicolas Cage?
No, that is The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent.
That was awesome. That was a brilliant movie.
Yeah, another great movie. The Dream Scenario is an A24 film where he's a college professor who everyone has the same recurring dream with him in it, and he becomes like this kind of it's also like an analysis of like cancel culture. Really interesting movie, but really good taste. If it's A24, usually that's the same. Pig, which is really good, which is about a chef whose truffle pig gets stolen.
How do you know these off the top of your head? I've never even heard of half these movies.
I'm on his IMDb. There's a lot I'm filtering out, but
I was with you. I was like, yeah, I've seen these movies.
yeah, you've seen these, right? They're
have,
all.
yeah.
Where do you see Pig? Where do you see it? Like, where's that streaming?
I don't remember where I watched it.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't see these movies on browsing.
I knew it was out, so I went looking for it.
Yeah. He says he says it might be his best film. But either way, I'm looking where to watch.
Not Left Behind. He doesn't think Left Behind is his best film. That's shocking.
You can watch it on Hulu. It's on Hulu right now. Pig with Nicolas Cage. But either way, he's had late career good taste.
Other than Left Behind.
And so, yeah, well, that was clearly that's like 10, 15 years ago now.
Late career.
That's true.
I'm saying like his prime was the 90s.
I'm saying like
you're saying like most recently.
Yeah, I'm saying last like 5 years. I'm saying last like 5 years.
So there was a period where he was obviously prime, winning awards, doing National Treasure from the 90s to the mid zeros, and then kind of fell out of favor for a while. And that's where he's just collected a couple of paychecks, the Left Behinds.
2010s were not great for him. We'll say that.
So the 2010s Nicolas Cage is when it got real cringe, real bad, real fast. It was after the National Treasure era.
Yeah.
I mean, we watched Left Behind as a joke. We went to the theater and it was obvious he showed up for 2 days of filming. It was like, cut me a check. I'll show up for 2 days, phone it in, and I'm done. He did no press for it. It was great. But then he just kind of like, everybody's like laughing at him. And then all of a sudden he just reemerged as these like indie films and like doing amazing stuff again. It was just like an interesting.
Well, I think there was a profile of him from maybe a year or two ago where he basically admitted he was doing a lot of movies just for a quick check because he was actually in debt. And so
he bought too many pyramids and castles and stuff.
And he concedes that.
I think I think there was a while where he was doing a lot of terrible movies because he just needed money. And it seems like now he's out of that hole. So he is going back to like actually really interesting roles.
And this is how you know it's come full circle for him because a lot of people don't remember. He's an Academy Award winning Best Actor, right? I think people who their recollection of Nick Cage is from like the Face Off, Con Air, like action. Kind of what they see as peak. His critical peak was years before when he was working with the Coen brothers and doing movies like Leaving Las Vegas and like real like movies that will go down as some of the.
From that era, that was the only one.
No, Raising Arizona's good.
Oh yeah, Raising Arizona was good. You're right.
And then he did a couple David Lynch films.
What was it, Moonlight? Too. That was like one of his big ones.
Moonlight was also. And what was the David Lynch one he did? That was either way. He was working with really critically acclaimed directors, but then he went under the action thing. Then he had The Crash. But this is how you know it's come full circle, and he's back to like being like a darling. last year or at the most recent Academy Awards when they had former Best Actors come on and kind of like introduce. Nicolas Cage was one of the ones they chose. Could you imagine 10 years ago, Left Behind era, if the Academy Awards say Nicolas Cage come on and introduce a Best Actor? It would have never happened because people are like, Nicolas Cage. But now he's like recognized as like, yo, our dude's back. He's making weird, interesting stuff, and he's actually pretty good. So all that to say.
Okay, all that to say, if he's 60 years old, that means he was 55 when Jesus was born, and that means a 55-year-old was marrying a 14-year-old.
Listen, it's a different time. I'm not defending it. I'm just saying. Will I see the movie? Almost certainly. Almost certainly.
I can't wrap my head around the casting decisions here. It's so weird.
Jesse, I get your point of like, he's not necessarily a bad actor. It's more of just like, my question is like, was there no one else available for the role who was age appropriate?
Andrew Garfield. If you're going to go white, I mean, because it should be Jewish and ethnically correct casting. I mean, you could, if you want to go ethnically appropriate, olive skinned casting, you could go Oscar Isaac, maybe. Like, at least the age would be more believable.
I'm not defending the political correctness or social acceptability of the decision. I'm just saying, Nicolas Cage has made some entertaining films recently, and if I just put all my concerns in compartmentalize them and just watch it in a vacuum, I'm going to see the movie. That's all I'm saying.
I'm fascinated to see how he's going to pull off playing a 35-year-old Jew as a 60-year-old white man.
Once again, I am not speaking to the social acceptability of any part of this. I'm just saying
it's another face-off thing. Where he's just like,
yeah. I will say, I mean, again, based on the premise, it seems like they are not necessarily fully sticking to the text, that they are taking a few creative liberties. So,
well, yeah, because didn't you say that it's a Jesus and they were hiding in Egypt? But he's like 10.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like they weren't hiding in Egypt when he was 10. I mean, that was like a 2-year period when he was a toddler, you know? So,
yeah. So they're making things interesting, I guess. Again,
I'm seeing it. By the way, I've been thinking about the movie Face Off a lot lately.
Why?
You know how they're doing a lot of remakes? You know, there's like a new Roadhouse, or even like Fall Guy is like a remake of like an 80s show, or, there's just... Why hasn't anyone touched Face Off? Because it's an unassailable premise that the good guy and bad guy switch faces, and you have an actor essentially having to play two roles. Half the movie, Nicolas Cage is playing the good guy. Half the movie is playing the bad guy with another guy's face. It's such a good premise. Even just talking about it makes me excited. Like, it's probably his most impressive role because, like I said, he had to play two characters with different faces.
That's no more impressive than Lindsay Lohan playing Freaky Friday twins.
Wow, such a great example. Thank you, Cameron.
and you know what? That's a great movie too. Oh, it is.
Maybe we can have Lindsay Lohan remake Face Off.
By the way, it's not Freaky Friday. It's
Parent Trap.
Parent Trap. That's
Parent Trap.
Yeah.
And I bet I'm going to go. Cameron, what is your guess on Rotten Tomatoes for Parent Trap? Right?
Oh, I have no clue because it was pre Rotten Tomatoes. So anybody,
100%.
Yeah, it would be.
Oh, there were reviews. They've retroactively.
Oh, really? They go back to the newspapers of that time
movies,
and make them accurate. Oh, yeah. Wow. I have no clue. I have no idea.
87%. It's a great movie. So that's a compliment to Face Off, by the way.
Parent Trap.
Was that
you're welcome.
Parent Trap was 87% or Face Off?
I don't know what Face Off is. Parent Trap was 87%.
Let's look at Face Off.
93%. Okay. Rotten
for
Tomatoes
Face-Off?
for Face Off. 93% on Rotten Tomatoes.
A higher score than Parent Trap?
I'm telling you. Have you watched Face Off recently?
No.
I actually haven't watched Face Off ever. But I want, I want to.
Guys.
It's just so funny because I know the premise of it, and I think I need to like build up accepting that because like the idea of it seems so odd to me.
I get Face Off and Con Air mixed up, and they came out in the same year. Both that came out in 97. That was a big year for Nicolas Cage. What
a heat check, man! What a heat check! Like Well, because Con Air had John Malkovich, Steve Buscemi, and Dave Chappelle were in it, and they all got upstaged by Nick Cage. Think about that. What a heat check year that guy had.
And John Cusack, Nicolas Cage, John Cusack, and Malkovich.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It was heat check, man.
That's crazy. They both came out that summer. That's like when I was watching that Spielberg documentary, like Schindler's List and Jurassic Park came out the same year. Like he did both films, hands on. They were both his films. Like, how did he do that? Like, they were both his babies. It's not like he just produced it. Like he created these worlds. Crazy.
Yeah, I know. It's anyway.
All that to say,
we could just do a whole Nicolas
Cage, a 60-year-old white man, will be playing the Hebrew father of a young Jesus. So can't wait to see that. All right, what else do you have, Emily?
There's a really interesting new study that came out I want to talk about. So Gen Z is apparently totally fine with AI influencers. There's a new report that found that Gen Z is actually more open to brands who use AI influencers rather than humans to show off their products. And that's really surprising. AI
meaning like when they do an Instagram post or video, it's an AI humanoid talking, not a real human. Like, wait, hold on. So Gen Z is open to being influenced by computer generated influencers.
Yes. Yeah, they are totally fine with it. And I get your shock because I was surprised at this too, because there's been so many studies over the years that say Gen Z really cares about authenticity and they want something like real and genuine. But according to this report, only 35% of Gen Z consumers said that authenticity is like the most important trait. What they really care about is popularity, because 47% said they are more interested in someone's follower count than like who's actually influencing them.
So an account of 2 million followers with an AI beauty influencer telling you about a new product is more appealing to Gen Z than an authentic user person of that product who has 20,000 followers telling you this is great. That is crazy to me.
Is there a reason why? I'm sure you could kind of break down the speculation of what is it about the dynamics of, kind of social science that would leave Gen Z to be more comfortable with an artificially, generated experience than a human one.
Our take was, my read is that it's just popularity. They just want to like what's popular. And if it's got big numbers, then I like it too. So it's groupthink, kind of.
I think it is that. Like, I think the report didn't go into it, but just kind of what I've seen, I do think it is like a groupthink thing, like, oh, everyone else likes this and I want to be a part of what, culture says is cool. So I don't really care who's leading it. I just want to be part of it.
Think about that. You just said everybody else likes this. So that's the thing. They're not looking at what we like. They're like, oh, but the crowd, millions of people like this. So I like it too. That's interesting.
That does seem like somewhat generationally unique, because I feel like prior generations, there was an aversion to what's popular. Like if it's popular, it's uncool. Right. If it's popular, I don't trust it. Like if it's popular, that means they sold out. That means they're not credible. Right. I'd rather like someone that, has a small following and is more, hasn't done things to appeal to the masses, as trades to themselves. I don't. Again, there's probably tons of research that people have done of what kind of, move the needle on that. I do wonder how, this is just me speculating, but how a generation that grew up with public view counts, like anything I can go to, I see how many likes something has, I see how many views a YouTube video has, I didn't grow up like that. You know what I mean? Like when we went to, like I said, there was an aversion to what was on like the Billboard Top 100. We're like, well, that can't be cool because everyone likes it. But now it's like success is measured not necessarily in artistic merit, but by how many views and what the engagement metrics are,
I mean, I'll say like personally, like I'll be like scrolling on TikTok and sometimes I'll see a video and if it seems like it's like a long story, I might scroll past it. But if I see it has like 350,000 views or 350,000 likes, there's something in me that's like, oh, this was actually, maybe this is interesting enough to like stick around and
FOMO.
Watch the full video. Yeah. Like a FOMO thing versus like, if there was the same video, but it only had like 2 likes, it's like, oh, well, this clearly isn't popular, not worth my time. Like I find myself doing that. And so I think, I'm a cusper, so I'm like on the edge of that. But I mean, it impacts my own like social media use. So I absolutely think that's how Gen Z views it.
Yeah. And I'm not saying that's any better or worse. I'm not trying to be like yelling at a cloud here. I'm just saying, like, I you know what I mean? Like, again, I see the flaws in not liking something solely on the merits because a lot of people like it. Like, that's no way to view the world either. That's not a credible way to measure, what's good and what's bad. But I do think in this particular case that, liking it for the sake of popularity seems to be indicative of just a different way of viewing the world,
Interesting.
All right. Well, moving on to the last thing. I know we've talked about it a lot, but we finally have some new details about the Office spinoff because it's officially been picked up by Peacock. And we have a plot that actually makes me really excited. I know we had speculated on maybe something at the DMV or at a local church, which hopefully one day that will still happen. But for now, it looks like the documentary crew is going to be following a dying historic Midwestern newspaper and the publisher trying to revive it with volunteer reporters.
The volunteer reporters thing is what I think the comedy is, because when we were talking about the DMV idea, it was because you have a set cast, but you have all the public characters coming through. And so like that brings the episode by episode fresh comedy. And so the volunteer reporters is interesting because you could be bringing in new, fresh volunteer reporters. It's brilliant because it's another dying industry, gasping for its last breath of life, like the paper industry in the 2000s.
Yeah, because like the risk of doing something like the DMV is you just remake Parks and Rec, like some public institution where the mundanity is baked into its just largeness as an institution. Where the paper company or a newspaper, there's the low hung and ever present anxiety of not existing anymore is part of the show. Right.
The layoffs, the threat of layoffs, the consolidation of offices was a major plot line, which would be the same case with a traditional small town newspaper on its last legs,
Yeah, because it served as like a metaphor for, like the office culture was like, this is sort of a dying way of life, and is this a life worth me investing myself in? And if not, where do I find purpose? It's in the relationships adjacent to it, or the comedy is we're all sharing the same piece of carpet, just trying to get through the day, even though we know we might not be around in a year. That's a unique that's to your point, Cameron. I think that's why it works as well as old paper companies.
It's brilliant.
Yeah, I never really thought about like the difference between Parks and Rec and The Office, but it really is like The Office had a moving plot line where, like you said, like it was trying to transition to like a digital era, and that was a really big issue. Parks and Rec, it was like the Parks and Rec department is just it's like it was more the characters had to bring kind of the unique situations. So yeah, I'm excited for this. I think it's going to be great. I mean, obviously also being in the media industry, that seems like extra exciting to me. So I'm curious to see how well or how accurate they get it. But
NPR mentioned this. I was in the car this morning and NPR mentioned this as a blurb, and Steve or that's his name. He was like, nothing's more exciting than seeing a show about journalists. Like he was like, all the nerds are excited about this one. So anyway, it's good. When's it coming out? When's it happening?
It's currently still in production, so there's nothing announced yet. But I mean, if they're working on it now, we could see it as early as this fall. So I'm ready for it.
I'm excited for it, but it all comes down to how good are the characters. Because at the end of the day, like you can only The Office. Office Space showed this is about as far as we can take it. Like, because before The Office, there was Office Space, which explored the same thing with mundanity. But what propelled The Office was the characters. Like, at some point, just the idea of it only goes so far. So, yeah, we'll see. I'm hopeful, though.
Especially since it's the same brain trust as The Office.
Right. Yeah, Greg Daniels. Yeah.
But
no pressure.
But if you remember, Greg Daniels is trying to spin off the Dwight Farm show. And he's done some other stuff that just didn't quite have the secret sauce, the magic.
Is Michael Schur involved with this? You might have already said that. I apologize.
I don't recall.
I haven't seen his name.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm saying. It's like the brain trust isn't quite the same. So it was like the Office magic. Was it Greg Daniels or was it Michael? You know, like who knows?
Because remember, it's Greg Daniels, and then one of the other co-creators is the co-creator of Nathan For You.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
So it'll be. I think it will be a different humor.
Yeah,
that's good.
But it's still. I mean, I love that humor, but it will be different.
Well, that's good because you can't go back. You can't recreate The Office. So like having something fresh. Will be good.
Yeah.
All right. Well, for more stories like that, check out relevantmagazine.com. Every weekday, we're covering the intersection of faith, culture, and everything in between. Thanks, Emily. All right. Stay tuned. Coming up, it's Jon Foreman.
She's not ready for the hair to get caught. 'Cause she's so used to living on the beach down in Florida. Wanna take her to the mountains. We can take my friend's Toyota. But the heat don't work, so when the air gets colder, I can hold you. I can hold you.
You're listening to Azyrus. The song is My Friend's Toyota.
Today's podcast is brought to you in part by John Mark Comer's book, Garden City, a book that speaks to the tension we all feel between work, rest, and purpose. The New York Times bestselling author John Mark Comer takes us to the scriptures to identify what it really means to be human and flips the script on the idea that who you are matters, not what you do. He shows that God created us for meaningful work and meaningful rest. Both matter. This book helps you ask and answer the big questions. Does God care where I work? Is there a direction for my life? So you can discern God's heart for your calling, your rhythms, and the way His Spirit wants to shape every part of your life. If you're longing for purpose and a more grounded way to live, check out the new hardcover edition of Garden City wherever books are sold.
Well, today's show is brought to you in part by the new book, God, the Science, the Evidence. We talk a lot about faith, but how often do we talk about science in the same breath? You might be surprised to discover just how deeply the two actually agree. For centuries, science has been used to dismiss the idea of God, but today an intellectual revolution is underway. Modern discoveries in physics, cosmology, and biology are consistently revealing the same truth: creation isn't an accident. That profound reversal is what engineers Michel-Yves Bolloré and Olivier Bonassi investigate in their international bestseller, God, the Science, the Evidence. This book is a rigorous, evidence-based critique of materialism, inviting you to explore over a dozen scientific, philosophical, and historical domains. It shows that what was once seemed impossible, that science could point to a creator, is now supported by a vast and convergent body of evidence. With over 400,000 copies sold in Europe, this book is sparking a global debate. It's thoughtful, fascinating, and a powerful reminder that reason itself affirms the existence of God. Learn more and find out where you can purchase your copy today by visiting godthesciencetheevidence.com.
Today's podcast is brought to you in part by Erwin McManus's book, The Barbarian Way. Some books don't just inspire you, they confront you. The Barbarian Way, now celebrating its 20th anniversary, is one of those books. If you felt the pull of God towards something deeper and wilder than the safe, predictable version of faith that we settle for, McManus reminds us that following Jesus was never meant to be tame. It's meant to awaken courage, passion, and purpose God placed inside us. He draws from the wild stories of Abel, Noah, Moses, Rahab, and others to remind us that following God wasn't meant to be tame. Safe faith isn't working. Step into the story God is writing for you. Choose passion, choose boldness, choose the Barbarian Way. Available now wherever books are sold.
Our guest today is Jon Foreman. You know him as the lead singer of Switchfoot, but he's also, over the years, put out solo albums. And in fact, he has a new one coming out. It's called In Bloom. It's coming out in a couple weeks. But today, he releases a new single called Eulogy. We caught up with him to talk about the new project and how he's embracing change in a healthy way. Here's part of Emily's conversation with Jon Foreman.
Every day I write the
Well, your album In Bloom is dropping this month. It's a solo project, not part of Switchfoot. I'd love to know, when did you begin working on this album?
It's funny. I was trying to make a different album, and this is the album that came to me. So I recorded last year or a couple years ago, Departures, and I was hoping to record Arrivals. That seems like the logical next step. And so I was chipping away at this album, and I felt like I was forcing a square peg into a round hole. And these other songs came to me almost annoyingly so, where they were bright and airy and full of this fertile new soil that didn't represent the record I was attempting to make. And my brother and James McAllister, who helped me produce the record, both kind of, helped me lift my head up and say, you know what? I think you have an album here. I know it's not the album that you were hoping to make, but I think you have made a really great record, and I think you should put it out. So that's what friends are for. Tim and James kind of talking sense to me. But yeah, so I feel like this record represents a fertile, blooming season in my life, putting to rest a lot of things that felt a little bit like the wrong kind of fertilizer, the stuff that needs to be put into the ground and given away. And so yeah, it feels like it's coming out at the perfect time. So I'm very excited for spring and summer.
What was going on in your life while you were working on this project?
So I've been working on it, chipping away for the past couple years. I mean, I think I'm not the only person that since 2020 is wrestling with loss and trying to figure out what to do with these things in my life that feel like they keep me up at night. And so against the backdrop of all of that, I think the garden has this amazing metaphor for me to find myself in. The idea that tomorrow's fruit is born from yesterday's crap, that the stuff that hurts us, haunts us, the dead parts of ourselves that we let go and allow to fertilize the future, so that's essentially what this record feels like to me. It is certainly a letting go. Even just letting go of arrivals and saying, okay, I'm gonna let that go. It's dumb, but it was a big deal for me. And I think that's the season I'm in right now, saying yes to things that might feel uncomfortable and stepping into what that looks like. I think, in Bloom, there's so many lines in there that feel like poignant. Yesterday's tomb, tomorrow's womb. I feel like that sums up this season for me.
I'm a desert in bloom. I'm a desert in bloom. The wind is torn, the world's at war, but the butterflies in me keep death defying.
That all sounds very introspective. Are you hoping it encourages others to sort of reflect on their own life in the same way?
I'm hoping, like I said before, I'm hoping that this can be the soundtrack for a new journey for someone. Even I propose a toast, singing about, it's singing about both the beautiful and the painful, the bridges I'm still burning. Here's to all the mistakes we've made, like that kind of language, I think embraces an ability to move forward. And that's what I'm hoping for this album, is that this would be a soundtrack for people that are looking for freedom and looking for new ways to interface with themselves in the world. I am at the phase in my life, my friend did the math and said that at the end of when this record comes out, or maybe even now, that I will have written and released 300 plus songs. And that's just one of those things where when he said it, at first I was like, that's not true. And then he did the math and I was like, that's a lot of songs. And I'm at the place in life where I'm realizing that who I was when I was 18 or 28 or 32 or 12 or whatever, those parts of myself, they're still there, but I'm moving forward. I want to be able to continue to grow, continue to learn. The Bob Dylan line that is referenced at the very beginning of In Bloom comes to mind. Dylan on that speaker warning, he not busy being born is dying. And I want to be about the business of being born. And that is what I hope that this is a soundtrack for new life and people that are in the business of being busy being born.
So I propose a toast. Here's to every failure tried. Here's to friends that cash can't buy. Bonds that won't be severed. Here's to love and here's to life. Here's to fight inside.
It does seem like you're talking a lot about just the changes we go through in life and all these different seasons. I'd love to know, are you someone who likes change? And have you kind of always been that way?
I'm usually the guy who's looking forward to things. I have a fairly, I'm a ruthless idealist that's always expecting the best to happen. When I let myself down or let other people down, or when someone lets me down, it can be a shock, you know. What? You're human? Are you kidding me? How could you let this happen? You know, so I think this record kind of wrestles with that. The next song that we're releasing is called Eulogy. And the chorus says, every day I write the eulogy for everything I used to be. I'm still aiming for a better me. I'm the mosaic of a shattered man, broken and becoming who I am. So I think that encompasses this idea that I'm eulogizing the past versions of myself, you know, thankful for where I've been, but looking forward to the future with expectations. I am the broken, shattered mosaic of a man that is yet becoming, yet unfolding, forgiving and being forgiven. You know, I think that many times faith is said in these terms of I was, but now I am, with finality. And there's a beauty to that. And yet we, as, you know, for me, humans, if we think that we have arrived, that is as if we'll be very let down by ourselves and by others, you know.
You and I.
That was Jon Foreman. Make sure to keep your eye out for his upcoming project In Bloom and go check out his new single Eulogy wherever you get your music. All right, stay tuned. Up next, it's your feedback.
God as my witness, I need your kisses, loving you with all of my heart. I need forgiveness, I've been indifferent, love is wherever you are.
You're listening to Night Beds. The song is Shiloh, James River version. Well, today's podcast is brought to you in part by the new book, Confessions of a Christian Alcoholic. Author Jonathan Seidel knows firsthand how even believers can get stuck in shame and destructive habits, especially when it comes to one of society's biggest obsessions, alcohol. In Confessions of a Christian Alcoholic, he details his spiral into disordered drinking and shares the 4-step process he eventually used to break free. There's hope for alcoholics who become Christians and for Christians who become alcoholics. Find Confessions of a Christian Alcoholic wherever books are sold. What if you could change a child's life with just $10? Right now, thousands of vulnerable children in East Africa are suffering from jiggers. It's a painful
preventable parasite that burrows into their feet. Soul Hope is the only organization treating it through foot washing, medical care, and durable closed-toed shoes that protect kids long after treatment. $10 may not seem like much in today's world, but when we come together, those small gifts add up to big change. Join the 10 for 10 campaign. $10 protects 10 small toes. Visit soulhope.org/10 to give now. One small gift makes a big difference. Again, that's Soulhope, SOLE, hope.org/TEN.
All right, it's time for your feedback. Last week, poor Emily, we got talking about really painful Hinge prompts. It started because Emily was telling us about cringe-worthy Hinge prompts that she comes across regularly. And we're like, that's not true. That's not real. We need proof. And so she shared the proof. No, this is just your experience. She's like, absolutely not. So we asked y'all for your worst Hinge prompts that you've come across in the wild. You did not disappoint. There's a lot of really bad Hinge bio things out there. Now, if y'all don't know, if you didn't hear last week, so we did a whole game about it. Basically, Tinder, you write a little bio, and some of the other ones, you write a little bio. But apparently with Hinge, you're asked questions, and you pick 3 of the questions that you want to answer so people can get to know you. So anyway, so you guys sent in not only those, but you also sent in really cringeworthy bios you came across in the wild. Here's a few of our favorites.
And again, with the prompts, I have to stress, the people picked these prompts. Like, they were not forced to answer these ones. They picked this.
Well, this one isn't a prompt, but this shows the flaw of the whole exercise. Kaylee said, I deleted the apps after swiping no on 3 mullets in a row. I'd rather be single than be seen with a mullet. Kaylee, it's your problem. The mullet's back, and the universe is trying to tell you just got to go with it, because I'm sorry.
Well, hold on. The mullet had a little moment. Do you I don't know if you watch Bravo shows, but there's a show called Summer House, and Kyle is on Summer House. Anyway, he ironically got a mullet a couple years ago, and that became his thing, right? So they just had the Summer House reunion. I watch a lot of Bravo. And as a gesture of him finally growing up and ending the mullet era, they cut his mullet off. I think the mullet's era is ending. And I think like it went from ironic hipsters doing mullet to like dude bros doing mullets, and that's where and now it's Montana boys doing mullets.
And like, I think it's just like every hairstyle, it does not work for every man.
True.
Like that, I think that's important to think about.
And the guys that can pull it off are the frat bros that nobody likes. So like nobody likes the mullet. So.
But my thing with Kaylee is like, look, it's a dating app, okay? Like if you see 3 haircuts in a row, like if there was an equivalent of a female haircut, I wouldn't just discount the entire experience because one is at the you know, if the bell curve of its trend is on the downslope, I'm not being like, oh, I'm giving up on the institution of dating.
3 Rachel cuts in a row. This is trash.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, look, you're like 6 months out of date. Like, it's not that big a deal. Anyway.
One girl, Mary, said she came across a guy's profile who had a picture of him looking into a casket.
Again, I don't understand modern dating because that sounds like a very interesting person. I would like to have a conversation.
I want to know, like, who took the picture of him? Absolutely not. I want to know, like, who took the picture of him looking into the casket, and then what went through his mind that was like, yeah, this is what women want to see, is me looking death in the face.
But you're ignoring the biggest question of all: is who's in there?
That's also
something that Marty has started doing in our group chat. Like it's not the photo per se. It's picture yourself in that moment wanting to take this photo and taking this photo. So like in our group chat, he'll start sending over, like he sends over a lot of like TikTok posts and stuff from Christian rappers that's like super cringe. And he's like, imagine you're on that busy street and you're sitting there filming, you know, the influencers and the wild thing. It's like these people in real life look ridiculous taking this photo. I'm thinking about the guy at the casket. Hey, can you take my picture real quick? And he's like choosing. And then he loved how the photo looked and he put it in his dating app. Yeah. The thought process that went into this is just hilarious to me.
And again, you get like 5 options to choose from. Of all the photos you've ever had taken in your life, that was one of the top 5 pictures.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah. Again, seems like an interesting person. So it's not going to be a boring dinner. I'll tell you that.
You're right. Sure.
Grant said, one girl told me, so I guess this is in the messaging phase. One girl told me she would order a plate of crack for the table. It was an automatic no for me. What?
Beth says this was a guy's bio. I'm a metalhead. I don't normally speak. Comfort zone is one heck of a drug. I like video games, believe in the paranormal. Goth girls are totally epic. Again, I don't see why people are complaining. He's being honest with you.
Yeah, he's like, I know what I like. This is who I am. If you like that,
You should
swipe
probably
the correct direction.
You should probably know these are critical things to know about.
Yeah.
I
You
feel
know
like
what?
if you found out, it's like if you found out any of these things after the fact, you'd probably be pretty upset. I'm just going to lay out the main things I think you're probably going to want to know.
I feel like I really hope that this metalhead guy is friends with the casket guy, because I do think that could be a fun friendship for the two of
Did
them.
you see Matthews? He said, I often think about the girl who let's make sure we're on the same page about, I guess that's one of the prompts. Let's make sure we're on the same page
Yeah,
about.
yeah.
She put, quote, religion, children, and politics, I guess, although I'm not strict about this. She clearly needed to figure out her priorities, he says. But that's amazing. We need to make sure we're on the same page about, and she said, religion, children, and politics, I guess, although I'm not strict about this. Then why'd you pick that? Why'd you pick that answer? Oh my gosh. That's hilarious to me.
But I just like she's laying it out, man. She's just letting you know nothing really matters that much to me.
Yeah.
You know,
She's like, actually, on second thought, we don't have to be on the same
If
page.
you have a good mullet, let me know, because that's really all that matters.
she's like, these are the most important things in the world. But honestly, I don't even really care that much about them. So that should tell you something about how chill of a hang I am.
You're really reading into this, Jesse.
I'm not going to read that Tinder one. Holy cow. That guy's anyway, all right, well, there's more that came from. Okay, now it's time for this week's
editorial question of the week. Hey.
Well, earlier in the show, we were talking about, like, I don't know how we got off on that neuroscientist guy who has, he looks way older than he is. But, like, he's super healthy, quote unquote. We got to talk about health hacks that society has pushed on us. I'm looking at you, ice plungers. I think, didn't we just see a report last week that the ice baths have no health benefits? So anyway, lots of health hacks are out there. There's the beauty health hacks with the scrubs and the facials and the Botox injections and all the things. And then there's the ice baths and the intermittent fastings and the sleep X number of hours and get up at 2 and do all these things, hacks all over the place. We want to know this week, what's a health hack that you've tried? The weirdest health hack that you've tried. That's what we want to know. We will read our favorites on next week's show. If you want to tell us what came of it, if you want to tell us your experience, we would love all those details as well. But tell us some health hack that you've tried over the years.
I feel like I'm sure I'll have to think about this more. The first thing that comes to mind, though, is I love a good face mask. Although I can't think of a single time I've done a face mask and like wiped it off my face and thought, okay, I'm much better now. Like, I actually don't think face masks work. They're more of just like feel fun for a girls' night, very early 2000s vibe. But I will still continue to buy them.
If you want to see weird ones, like watch like those Bravo LA shows like Vanderpump Rules and The Valley. They go down to like these weird like light spas, and it's like literally they lay down and they have like light on their face for, you know, or whatever. It's just
like the infrared light. Yeah,
it's just like, well, there's actually health benefits in it.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, like, but I'm saying, like, there's all these like trendy of the moment. They're here 1 year and that spa's gone the next year, and that kind of thing. You know, what I mean, like,
yeah,
it's really funny. Anyway, hit us up at Relevant Podcast on X, or you can reply to our Instagram story as well, and we will read our favorites on next week's show. Well, before we wrap things up, I want to thank Jon Foreman for joining us today. Make sure to check out his upcoming solo project. It's called In Bloom. It'll be out in a couple weeks. And check out his brand new single, Eulogy, which released today, wherever you get your music. All right. On that note, we'll wrap things up. I'm Cameron Strang.
I'm Jesse Carey.
I'm Emily Brown.
We will see you on Tuesday. Have a great weekend, everyone.
Thanks for listening to the Relevant Podcast. Check out our features, interviews, and news updates every day at relevantmagazine.com. And make sure to follow Relevant on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram for the latest. For more great podcasts, browse the shows on the Relevant Podcast Network, which you can find at our site. And while you're there, don't miss the all-new era of Relevant Magazine. A new issue releases every other month at relevantmagazine.com.
Look, I'm going to ignore all of that for a moment.
Relevant Podcast Network.